There's a medical problem that's as old as ancient Egypt, but it's still happening in our most advanced hospitals, right now, all around the world. It's this hidden epidemic, and it affects millions of the most vulnerable patients. We're talking about pressure ulcers, and today, we're going to look at a new integrated approach that might, just might, finally solve it. Let's get into it. Way back in the 1980s, a British nurse named Pam Hibbs just nailed it with this phrase, an epidemic underneath the sheets. It's so powerful, right? It perfectly describes how these things, also known as bed sores, can just develop in silence, totally out of sight, on patients who are stuck in bed.
And this is the number that is just staggering. 95%. That's how many pressure ulcers are thought to be preventable. Let that sink in. This isn't some unavoidable part of being sick. It's often a breakdown in care. Overworked staff, confusing protocols, and technology that's only solving one little piece of a really big puzzle. But hey, that also means it's a problem we can solve.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a tough nut to crack, we first need to understand exactly what we're up against. What are these things, and why have they been so darn persistent for, well, centuries?
So in medical terms, they're called pressure ulcers, or UPP for short. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. They are wounds that happen when you have non-stop pressure on one spot, which cuts off the blood supply to your skin and the tissue underneath. Just imagine the body's weight pressing down on a mattress for hours and hours, especially on bony spots like your heels or your tailbone. That constant force is literally what causes the tissue to start to break down. And here's the crazy part. This is not a new problem. Not at all. In fact, the first evidence we have of pressure ulcers was found on Egyptian mummies. Think about that. For thousands of years, while medicine has cured diseases and mapped the human genome, we've still been struggling with this very basic issue of what happens to a body when it can't move.
And this just shows you the scale of the problem today. Look at these numbers from hospitals all over the world. These percentages aren't just stats. They represent millions of people in pain, longer hospital stays, and a massive financial drain on healthcare systems everywhere. The point is, this is a truly global challenge.
So to fight this thing, we got to go back to basics. We have to understand the fundamental force we're dealing with here, pressure itself.
And it all boils down to this simple little formula from physics class. Pressure equals force divided by surface area, right? Think about it this way. Lying on a single nail? Impossible. But lying on a bed of 1,000 nails? Totally doable. Why? Because your weight, that's the force, is spread out over a much, much bigger surface area. And that exact same idea is at the heart of the problem in a hospital bed.
And that's exactly what the current solutions, these special pressure management surfaces, or SEMPs, try to do. You've got two main types. Static surfaces, think fancy foam or gel mattresses. They work by increasing that surface area to spread out the patient's weight. Then you have dynamic surfaces. These are a little different. They use air cells that inflate and deflate in a cycle to keep changing the points of contact, which helps relieve pressure on any one spot.
But here's the kicker. This is the critical insight. A huge review from the Cochrane Library, which is pretty much the gold standard for medical evidence, came to a really shocking conclusion. After looking at all the data, they found no solid, high-quality evidence that proves any one type of bed or mattress is actually better than another. And that tells you there's a huge gap in the market, a real opportunity for a new way of thinking.
So if no single strategy is the clear winner, what if the answer isn't choosing one or the other? What if it's about integrating multiple strategies into one single, smarter system? And that brings us to this new concept, the SEMPE, where that I stands for integral. The whole idea is to stop looking at pressure, movement, and climate as separate things. Instead, you combine a bunch of prevention methods into one unified surface. You attack the root causes from every angle, all at the same time. So how does it work? Well, first off, it goes right back to that physics equation, tackling the surface area part head-on. Check out these unique support shelves. They actually hold the arms and legs separately from the torso. By doing that, you add a ton of new contact surface, which just dramatically reduces the pressure on those really vulnerable spots, like the hips and the spine.
Next up, it adds a dynamic element, but for the whole body. As you can see here, the entire platform is designed to tilt, gently and automatically, on a regular schedule. This basically automates the crucial job of repositioning the patient, a job that is incredibly hard and time-consuming for nurses, and it makes sure no single part of the body is taking a beating for too long. But it doesn't stop there. It gets even more active.
A system of springs and rotors creates these subtle little oscillations and vibrations across the entire surface. Now, why do that? Well, it's designed to fight the effects of being immobile by actively stimulating blood flow deep inside the tissues. And that circulation is absolutely vital for keeping those tissues healthy.
And finally, the system tackles what's called the microclimate. You know how skin can get fragile when it's damp? Well, all the heat and moisture that gets trapped between a patient and the mattress is a huge risk factor. So this integrated system of vents and fans actively manages that environment, keeping the skin cool and dry, which is key to keeping it strong.
So you see, by combining all of these features, the support, the tilting, the vibration, the climate control, the potential impact goes way beyond just preventing a wound. It really starts to change the game for what we should expect from patient care.
And the potential benefits for the patient are huge. We're not just talking about preventing ulcers anymore. We're talking about making the patient more comfortable, improving their circulation, even helping them breathe better and get higher quality sleep. And these aren't just little nice-to-haves. Things like good sleep and circulation are fundamental to healing. The goal is to help the body's entire recovery process.
Now, the ultimate goal for the design is really cool. The entire system is built to support the body in what's called a neutral body posture. This is actually the position our bodies naturally float into in zero gravity, something NASA figured out by watching astronauts. It's the most relaxed, most stress-free state for our muscles and our joints. It's a state of just pure support.
So it all leaves us with one big question. For literally thousands of years, pressure ulcers have been this painful, expensive problem for people who are sick and can't move. But now, by bringing together physics and ergonomics and all this new tech into one intelligent system, we have to ask, could a smarter bed finally put an end to this ancient epidemic?